My way. This kind of body that they cause you migraine. And when we leave, if you do, I'm your way. Or if you want, if you do, I'm my way. I wait, too short, I don't take. You tell me, and I know they go out one day. I know they care, say they buy my damn pray. Money on me mind all time. This kind love, yeah, where they make me want more. Whoa, come my way. Oh. This kind love, yeah, I don't want for the night. Make I know how you feel, like you want that lady. Girls,
Good morning, friends and family of the Urban League. We welcome you this morning to our 22nd annual breakfast, Era of Essential Service. Please be sure to check in and collect your name tag on the second floor before you head to your seat.
Make I know how you feel, like passing my way.
She's so persuasive, that marijuana. She's so flirtatious. How does it feel to be so persuasive, that marijuana? She's so flirtatious. How does it feel to be you? Feel like the feeling of a suppress. Feel like I got new breasts. Feel like I needed rest. It's the season I should let go, and that's the reason I'm about more. Feel it's the season I should fly so low. I'm so sedated, and she's so persuasive. This isolation, so sweet you could taste it. Bake in the morning, moonlight y'all be yawning. It's 3 in the morning, and I'm still performing. She's so persuasive, that marijuana. She's so flirtatious. How does it feel to be so persuasive? That marijuana. She's so flirtatious. Keep it on. How does it feel to be you? She's so flirtatious. She's so flirtatious. She's so flirtatious. How does it feel to be? If it
You won't do for love. You tried everything, but you don't give up. Baby, oh yeah. Sucker for love.
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty of it all when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Feeling cast
So what I need, let me be the one you come running to. I'll never be untrue. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me, but I'm in the daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. What you won't do for love. You tried everything, but you don't give up. In my world, only you make me do for love what I would not do. My friends wonder what is wrong with me, but I'm in the daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let go. What you won't do for love. You tried everything, but you won't give up. In my world, only you made me do for love what I would not do. Make me do for love what I would not do. Make me do for love what I would not do.
I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to roll something up. Tonight I'm rolling something. I need some drink in my cup. Hey, I'm in the mood to pour something up. I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Can I sit on top of you? I wanna go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? Oh, we gon' roll up tonight. Black lights, spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight.
Good morning, distinguished guests. Welcome to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle's 22nd annual breakfast, Era of Essential Service. Breakfast service has begun. Please make your way to your tables. Your meals will be delivered momentarily.
What's in these four walls? You sexy, my love. Don't miss this roll call, 'cause you hear a voice. Show up. Pow up. Mr. Nasty, I clean it up. Go where nobody's been. Have you ever had fun like this? I wanna go missing. I need a prescription. I wanna go higher. Gonna sit on top of you. We gon' roll up tonight. Roll it up. Black lights, spaceships fly. Unapologetic when we pull up tonight. Roll it up tonight. We getting pulled up tonight. We gon' roll up tonight. See fire. Bet you see stars. Bet you elevate. Bet you meet God. 'Cause I feel like falling in love. I'm in the mood to pull something up. We gon' roll up tonight. What's sonic, sexy, product on my body. Boy, you got it. Hit them hydraulics while I ride it. Got me acting hella thotty. So excited, so exotic. I'm a seasoned professional. Squeeze it, don't let it go. Tease it, no self-control. I got time today. I got time. Oh, I got time today. I can't wait to come out and play. Ooh, yeah, you. Come and cup it, cup it, cup it, cup it, baby. While I bust it, bust it, bust it for you, baby. Oh, baby. Anywhere, anytime, I don't mind, I don't mind. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm back in the truck all the time. Oh, yeah. To get rough, oh, yeah. Put my cup up, oh, yeah. Pull up tonight. Take flight, blinding lights. Cuff it up, cuff it up. Bet you see stars. Bet you go far. Bet you levitate. Bet you be there. Close your eyes. Let that rhythm get into you. Don't try to fight it. There ain't nothing that you can do. Relax your mind. Lay back and groove with mine. You gotta feel that heat, and we can ride the boogie. Share that beat of love. I wanna rock with you all night. Dance you into the sun. I wanna rock with you all night. We're gonna rock tonight.
I can't fool myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking of you. I still remember in the days when I was scared to touch you, how I spent my day dreaming, planning how to say I love you. You must have known that I had feelings deep enough to swim in. That's when you opened up your heart and you told me to come in. Oh, my love. 1,000 kisses from you is never too much. I just don't wanna stop. Oh, my love. A million days in your arms is never too much. I just don't wanna stop. Too much, never too much, never too much, never too much.
Good morning, distinguished guests. Welcome to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle's 22nd annual breakfast, Era of Essential Service. Breakfast service has begun. Please make your way to your tables. Your meals will be delivered momentarily.
Hung up the phone, can't be too late. The boss is so demanding. Open the door up, and to my surprise, there you were standing. Who needs to go to work to hustle for another dollar? I'd rather be with you, cause you make my heart scream and holler. Love is a gamble, and I'm so glad that I am winning. We've come a long way, and yet this is only the beginning. Oh, my love. 1,000 kisses from you is never too much. I just don't wanna stop. Oh, my love. Oh, my love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle's 22nd annual breakfast, Era of Essential Service. The show will begin in 10 minutes. Please find your way to your seats.
What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Oh, what's going on? Right on, right on. Woo. Right on, baby. Right on, 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 right on. Everybody
Ladies and gentlemen, the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle thanks you for joining us this morning for our 22nd annual breakfast. You are listening to the sounds of DJ Coco. The show will begin in 5 minutes. The show will begin in 5 minutes. Please be seated.
I guess that's why I like it. Just another rising sun. All our dreams are now forgone. You said I was your princess, baby. I told you certain things you can't possess. So let me go, 'cause I'll give it until I break the ground beneath the sway. How can we grow when we've only begun? Forsaken beneath the sun. I've given until I break the ground beneath the sway. How can we grow when we've only begun? Don't grab all the kid. She telescope me, don't go on my kid. Don't you there before, don't blame me, don't need it. No power did I let you come to me with him. Oh, Nikin Latan, oh, Nima Latan, oh, Nikin Dojo me, oh, Loma Lapa, oh, Nikin Latan, oh, Nima Latan, oh, Nikin Dojo me, oh, Loma Kampa, oh, Maradona, oh, Maradona, Maradona me, oh, Maradona, oh, Maradona, Maradona me, Maradona. Don't be wicked, die for you. If I die for you, all is in vain. Wicked, die for you. If I die for you, all is in vain. Kini mo ṣe fún ẹ? Will I satisfy you? All my friends, you are the best. Will I satisfy you? Oh, Nikin Latan, oh, Nima Latan, oh, Nikin Dojo me, oh, Loma Lapa, oh, Nikin Latan, oh, Nima Latan, oh, Nikin Dojo me, oh, Loma Kampa, oh, Maradona, oh, Maradona, Maradona me, oh, Maradona, oh, Maradona, Maradona me, oh, Maradona, oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our invocation speaker for this morning from Greater Trinity Church, Dr. Paul A. Stute, Sr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can pause just for a few moments to give special thanks for such a glorious day and to have such magnificent lights in this room. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with a bowed head, humble hearts, thanking you for your provision, for your mercies. Thank you, dear Lord, for taking care of us, supplying all of our needs through your glorious riches. Thank you for having made plans already for us to come together today, believing that today is for the divine purposes of this greater Seattle Metropolitan Urban League, to bring our minds together and to help us create a better tomorrow. And not even just a better tomorrow, but to just continue to step in a better today. You're a great God, you're a great King above all gods, and you hold in your hands the depths of the earth, and the mightiest mountains and the seas belong to you, for you made them. Your hands formed the dry land too. So today we worship, we bow, we kneel before you as our Maker, for you are God. And we are the people that you have continuously to watch over. So on this day, we ask that you will continue to take care of us as we graciously go into this moment, to listen to your voice today. Here we come with tiptoe anticipation to hear from Mr. Trevor Noah. Almighty God, our Father, we seek to gain your wisdom in all that we do, developing good judgment for all of the short, long-term success. We confess today that our desire is to be wise and to understand your ways, and we will prove that by living honorable, serving others, doing good works that come from your wisdom. So, God, on today, we declare that we have not been given the spirit of fear, but the power, love, and self-discipline, and we will strive to ensure that there is an endless to the era of essential service, good flood of justice, to an endless river of righteousness living for us within the economic development system. And when we do this, we expect the well-being and the quality of life for all of those that we serve in these local communities, extended communities from Seattle, the greater community of the Pacific Northwest, and to improve through the intentional, purposeful efforts that Ms. Michelle Merriweather and her team, the board, that would include the access of quality education, jobs, housing, food, water, health care, the social economics and the social equity and the workforce development, that she and we that will join with her to not get tired of doing well, doing good, for your word reminds us that at the right time that we will reap if we faint not. We will reap the harvest of blessing and watch those not only reap, but move from poverty to promise. We'll never be lazy. We will work hard, and we will serve enthusiastically. We praise you. We thank you for this day and for this moment. Amen.
What brought me to the Urban League is having the opportunity to be in a space where there's a system designed for us to win. When I say us, I mean Black and brown communities. There's so many systems built to keep us from being successful, to keep us from advancing and being able to provide for our families, being able to work in our communities and flourish. So I really just wanted to be a part of an environment or a group of people that were dedicated to seeing us win.
The work we do is meaningful to me because we're very much so with the most impacted and bringing resources back to the community, whether it be a career fair, whether it be a resource fair, scholarships, business grants. We're working with those who are most impacted, and quite frankly, majority of the Urban League is represented by those who are most impacted.
It's really hard to walk into a space or exist in a space where you don't see things that look like you don't see content that's made by people that look like you for you. So the best part about my role is being able to create those positive connections and touch points with people in our community and making sure that they see us and that they know that we're here for them.
The Urban League has provided me with the infrastructure to go and get resources and bring them right back. I've been able to take youth, get them into internships at Fortune 500 companies, provide a lot of jobs, put kids in educational institutions, and really just, change the narrative of what's going on in the community. And the ultimate goal is to see the next generation push through these doors that we've been able to open.
Growing up in a similar community, I see all of the barriers that my community faces. I see the economic inequities. I see the, struggling to find jobs. I see the struggle to feed families. I see the struggle for our youth to be able to have things or opportunities available to them that can help them be successful in their futures. So the reason why this work is so important and why I couldn't see myself a part of any other organization is literally because we make a way for people to thrive, for people to have hope, for people to know that someone is there for them and not just trying to check a box. We're not just trying to meet a deliverable. We're actually trying to make sure that our community is thriving and can continue to thrive for future generations like the one that I'm a part of.
Thank you for all of your support, and thank you for attending our annual breakfast.
Distinguished guests, please welcome to the stage Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, Chairman of the Board, Blair Taylor.
Well, good morning. Okay, now look, I know we probably need the wait staff to serve a second or third cup of coffee, but you got to do better than that this morning. Good morning. There we go. How many of you would like to have a breakfast like this every morning? I'm talking to Michelle, we got to do this 365 days a year. This is a gathering. And hopefully you all are having fun and enjoying yourselves. We are so grateful that you're here. You all look good, by the way. Give yourselves a round of applause because you look good this morning. I think this is a new record for our breakfast. Michelle, I think this is a new record. Well, whether it's a new record or not, I'm going to claim it as a new record. This is a new record for our Urban League breakfast. Let's clap on that as well. Now, Michelle and the team told me I have about 5 minutes up here this morning with you. So I tore up my 2.5 hours worth of remarks that I had prepared. This was going to be my big moment, but instead I've trimmed it down to just a couple of minutes. I just want to do a few things with you this morning. First, I want to make a few acknowledgments, and then I want to make a brief introduction of our champion here this morning. So first, I want to acknowledge the Seattle Urban League board members. Board members, can you please just stand for a moment and be recognized? Seattle Urban League board members. You all are so appreciated. Thank you for your tireless commitment to this organization. We appreciate you. And next, I want to acknowledge the Urban League staff members and volunteers who are here this morning. Please stand if you're an Urban League staff member. Wave your hands to the crowd. Be acknowledged. Thank you for putting this organization on the map and keeping this organization on the map. We appreciate you. You all are terrific. I also want to acknowledge all of our corporate sponsors. Corporate sponsors, you don't need to stand. Just wave if you're a corporate sponsor. Just wave at us. Thank you, corporate sponsors. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Know that we love you dearly and we appreciate you greatly. And then finally, I also want to acknowledge the wait staff here today, those who are serving us. Can we please give them a big round of applause this morning? Thank you, thank you. Oh, and there's one more person in the audience I have to acknowledge. It's taken 26 years for me to get to this point, but if I didn't acknowledge her, my key might not fit in the lock tonight. So that's my beautiful wife, Bridget Taylor, who's in the front row. Thank you for being here, sweetie. Appreciate you. And thank you for letting me do these kinds of things. Listen, I really do mean what I said. This is a great morning. And I don't know about you, but with all the negative things that are going on in the world, we've got high inflation, we've got crime, we've got rising gas prices, we've got all kinds of things that we're facing, wars and rumors of wars. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. I'm tired. And I needed to just take a breath. I needed some pancakes and some breakfast and just a moment to step away from the TV sets and the internet and the radio and all of the things that are coming at us. And I'm just excited this morning because in troubled times like these, we need organizations like the Seattle Urban League more than ever before. We need organizations that are fundamentally committed to doing good things, big things, which this organization is. And you're going to hear more about that as we continue through the program, but what I'll simply say here is that from investing in things like affordable housing projects to supporting incredible mentorship initiatives to fighting homelessness and poverty across the city to building career pathways, your Urban League is at work, people. We are at work, okay? And I am grateful to be here with you this morning with like-minded servants. Because I know you all, that's the theme of this morning, I know you all are like-minded servants who care deeply about our city and about our future. So thank you for being here this morning. You didn't have to come. It's early in the morning. I had to fight through valet and parking and all the things we had to go through, but I'm glad that you're here. And by the way, on a quick but related side note, let me just remind you all that this is a fundraiser. Hello? Is this mic still on? This is a fundraiser, people, and you have my deep thanks in advance for supporting and digging deep to support the Urban League as we get to that part of the program as well. And know this, that the seeds of your investment are blossoming all over the city. And you will affect literally tens of thousands of people in the next year with your support. And it's you who make the League's vision possible and all of this possible for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You are deeply appreciated. And so for my last assignment this morning, let me just say this. There's no organization out there that can do anything significant without great leadership. And for sure, we have a great leader here in the Seattle Urban League. Yes, we do. We have a great leader here. Now, I've known Michelle Merriweather for years. I think it's been 20 years. I think I was playing kickball in Los Angeles as a 5-year-old when I first met Michelle Merriweather. No, seriously, she's always had the same even-keeled, can-do leadership style that I so appreciate. She's always been receptive to constructive feedback. And she's always scanning the horizon for the most innovative systemic solutions that we can apply to the community and to the cities of which she's a part. But even more than all of that, Michelle is just a terrific human being. She is a terrific human being. And many of you probably realize this as I do, that in turbulent times, such as the times we're living through today, We tend to instinctively gravitate toward leaders who have principles and integrity, leaders we can trust at their word. And Michelle Merriweather is one of those people. I'm so proud that she's at the helm of this great organization right now. I can't even begin to tell you how proud I am that she's in that role. And I'm even more proud to call Michelle a friend. So if you'll join me in welcoming to the stage with a warm Seattle welcome, let's welcome CEO of the Urban League, Michelle Merriweather.
Wow. Oh, thank you. I was reminded to take it all in. I am doing that. I am absolutely humbled to be here. And Blair, 20 years? I was a child. I was a baby. But thank you, honestly, Blair. Thank you for being a coach, a mentor, a friend, a counselor, all of those things. I am here literally because of you, so thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you for saying yes to being our board chair. I would also, wait, I feel like we were just doing this. We were all kind of celebrating back to normal, back in person with a little magic last year. And here we are again. This year flew by and so much has happened. Some of us didn't make it to see this morning or this year, so I am truly humbled that you all are choosing to be here with us this morning, so thank you. Thank you so much. This year has been crazy for myself and for my family, and my family is here, so my brother got married, and I added a wonderful sister-in-love to our family. My baby brother, he will always be my baby brother. And I got the coolest family, extended family, because of that union. I'm so glad that they're here with us. I also am so grateful that my family came from down south, not Kent, but south of the country, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and south of Washington, California, to be here this morning. And I'm so grateful that they're here. And even on the east side, Donna and Glenn, I'm glad you're here too. I'm so grateful. I have the best family. And I absolutely would be remiss if I didn't, as we're celebrating and honoring Black women, if I didn't celebrate the epitome of all Black women, my wonderful, beautiful mother, who is the wind beneath my wings, my everything. My brother and I certainly won the parent lottery. We have an angel in heaven and here on earth. So, Mommy, I'm so grateful for you. My time is short. They're keeping a tight schedule because, you know, Trevor is here. And so my job is threefold. I'm going to tell you what we're up to at the Urban League. I'm going to thank a whole bunch of people and just get us excited about what's ahead. So bear with me. I tried to write things down. I promised I was going to stick to the script. I'm going to do my best. I will say that the state of the Urban League is nothing short of a dream for me. When I started and joined this Urban League family in 2015, there was 12 of us. And now I'm so proud to say that there is close to 130 members of this Urban League family. I can't see, but they all have on fabulous red polos, and they're working so very hard, not only today, but each and every day. And so I have to say that I'm so blessed to be a leader among leaders, and this is for y'all. I just want to say thank you for your dedication, your sacrifice, all that you pour into this community. None of this happens without the work that you all do. You all are essential not only to me, but to this work, to this organization, and to this community. So I'm grateful for you, and thank you. I don't say that enough. I don't think I say that enough, but I'm saying it here loudly, proudly. I'm so grateful for all of you. Together, we served over 3,500 people and families this year alone. Speaking of records, that is one. We're changing the trajectory for so many families in a positive way. We've saved homes. We helped folks find their first home. We helped folks find shelter out of the cold and been there to help people fulfill their biggest and smallest and wildest dreams. We've supported our young people as they assess and dream on their own about going to college and career attainment. We've been there. The Urban League family has been there through ensuring our Black-owned businesses have the tools and resources they need to be successful and thrive. We're still vaccinating folks. We're still teaching folks how to advocate for themselves. And 3,500 people and families, and we're still going strong. So I also have to pause and give a shout out to all the Black-owned businesses in this room. We are really intentional about supporting our businesses because that is the pathway to generational wealth. That is the pathway to building strong communities, employment, and all of that. So the flowers you see are from April's Flowers. Some of you have gifts from Black-owned businesses. There's Black-owned businesses that I hope that you support from, I call them the fierce, fabulous women in business. I hope that you support them. They're out in the lobby, but there's also other businesses. The Elite Collective is doing our video. Amazing Photography is doing our photos. I have meetings almost every day at Boom Boom Coffee. Hey, I'm from. Or Classic Eats out in Burien, and I certainly can't forget C. Davis Barbecue, and I'm sure there's a bunch of you that I frequent and visit, and I ask all of you to do the same. We need to support our businesses, and I am so grateful to call them friends, partners in this work, and I want to see them all thrive and grow and continue to grow, so thank you. And we each have a Black business directory. Take it home with you, share it with your friends. It is also online. Be intentional about where you spend your dollars. All right, this year again back to the script. This year again has been nothing short of a dream. And I want to thank our board of directors for allowing me and seeing me and honoring me with allowing to push forward that dream. This year has been a big year. Last year I told you about the 6 buildings, 354 apartments that we made affordable for long-term with our friends at SRM and Amazon. Well, we're back. Soon we'll be breaking ground on a fabulous new build out in North Seattle with our friends at SRM and our development partners to build over 200 more affordable apartment units. Like I said, I've been living a dream. We're building apartments. We're building a housing for people. And that dream is just beginning. So this photo, my beautiful queen in our community sent this photo to me yesterday, wishing me luck. This photo was a dedication of the Urban League building that we're currently in 1973. 50 years we've been in that building. 50 years that has been the home of the Urban League. But I did a little dreaming this year, and I found out the corner of Rainier and 23rd was for sale. And so I went to the board and I said, what do you think? Can we try? And the board said, if you think you can do it, go ahead. So I went to everybody that would listen. My friends at the city Office of Housing at the city, we're BFFs now. Of course, Connor and Ryan and my friends at SRM, our friends at the state, and last but certainly not least, our friends at Microsoft, that all said, we see it, we believe it, let's do it. And so now the Urban League owns the block at 23rd and Rainier. Yeah. Talk about dreaming. So now I'm still dreaming. I'm like, so what are we gonna do with this space, right? So just dream with me for a moment. What if that becomes the future home of the Urban League? Or maybe early childhood development. I see home ownership opportunities and a safe, culturally relevant, affordable housing right here in Seattle at 23rd and Union. I see spaces for our children and entrepreneurs to dream, communities to gather, and I hope you see my dream, and because I'm gonna be looking to all of y'all to make this dream a reality, because we certainly can't do it without you. I own it, I'm a dreamer, and I'm so grateful that you all not only allow me to dream, but allow me to wake up each and every day and make those dreams come true for the betterment of our community. So, I want to say thank you to every single one of you individually, but that'll take too long. So I'm going to do it this way. I want to thank all of our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Microsoft and Amazon, our champions, US Bank, Alaska, PayPal, Benbridge, JP Morgan Chase, Costco, Schultz Family Foundation, and the Michael Jordan Foundation. Thank you to all of our advocates that you see on the screen, and of course to all of our partners in the room. I also have to give a special shout out to Bank of America Neighborhood Builders, who selected the Urban League this year as one of their recipients. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our friends at JP Morgan Chase for pouring into unapologetically our support for the Black Home Ownership Initiative, where we are committing with a cohort of other organizations to increasing Black home ownership by 5,000 people and families in the next 5 years. I also have to thank our elected officials. So all of our elected officials in the room, please stand. Please stand. Yes. Now, if I miss you, blame my head and not my heart. But there are some people that I just really want to acknowledge. Senator Saldana, Senator Nobles, Representative April Berg, Representative Deborah Intiman, Representative Jamila Taylor, Judge Anita Crawford Willis, I love you. Judge Faye Chess, I love you. Deputy Mayor Mike Fong, thank you for being here. Former Representative Eric Pettigrew, Prosecuting Attorney, and the board member that hired me, Lisa Mannion, the board chair that hired me, King County Assessor John Wilson, County Council member and my wonderful friend, Council Member Zahalai, Council Member-elect Jorge Barone. Congratulations, my friend. And of course, the incomparable, soon to be representing the 3rd District, Joy Hollingsworth. Yes! Again, if I didn't see you when I came in, I'm so sorry. And Councilmember Sarah Nelson, I did see you. Thank you. I love you, and I appreciate you. I see you all D9, of course, the devastating ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Whenever you give me a microphone, I got to. I'm sorry. And all of the pastors, imams, and men and women of the cloth, I'm grateful for you, your prayers, and all you do. And I also have to give a special shout out to my new Chief Impact Officer, Miss Donna Moody. I am so excited. This year has been special. Yes, we now own the block, but we also now have Eco District as a part of the Urban League family. And I'm so excited about the work that we're going to do on environmental justice, doubling down on our advocacy for our community and making it a safe, healthy place for everyone to live. So I'm excited about the work that Donna and I are going to get to do together. I'm also excited about the rest of our leadership team, of course, the incomparable Linda Taylor, our CFO, Mansour Kamara, and our VP of Education and Workforce Development, Rob Jones. And before I move on to the awards and celebrations, there are two very special women that I have to acknowledge that made all of this possible, that you communicated with to get here. Ashley Pugh and Tiersha Cutler. And some bad sisters. They made all of this happen, and I'm so grateful. And I hope that they get to take a nap after this. Yes. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. And now it's time to celebrate and give out some awards. Our first award, our President's Award, I get to pick. This individual is a leader of our community who gives tirelessly of themselves. And this year I present it to my friend, Miss Andrea Capaign Sanderson, who retired from Bird Bar Place after 20 plus years. Please roll the video as Andrea comes to the stage.
I'm Andrea Capaign Sanderson, and I consider myself a weaver of community. In my work, I weave the work and foundations from generations past through to today and prepare the foundation for the generations of the future. My title is Co-Executive Director of the Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Executive Directors Coalition of Washington State. And we were created 3 years ago to infuse this idea of health and wellness in the work, that we can be in this work in a sustainable way. And we also work to unlock philanthropic resources for organizations led by people of color across the state of Washington. Until recently, I was the CEO of Bird Bar Place, a historically Black organization, a human services organization serving people within the city of Seattle city limits. And I served the organization for 20 years. I'm also co-architect of the Black Future Co-op Fund, a philanthropic fund created in 2020 to provide resources for Black-led and serving organizations across the state of Washington. The Urban League's vision of equity for all is a type of home place for me as I go about my work in community. It calls me into a type of alignment. It helps to inform the type of work I do and my approach to the work, because I do believe strongly that if we achieve equity for Black-bodied people, then all people will realize equity. I've approached my work unapologetically because as a Black-bodied person, I understand how systems have been set up to make us invisible, our experiences, our contributions. And so my work has been to really create spaces where we're seen and we're heard, and we create legacies and traditions for our people, where we no longer have to make ourselves small to be in the work. I thank the Urban League for recognizing the contributions in our community, and I'm honored to be receiving this award to share this distinction with all the others who've come before me. Thank you.
Andrea Capaign. She deserves all the flowers. 20 years she dedicated to Bird Bar Place, but her lifetime she is dedicated to community. I'm so grateful for her and everything that she's going to do next, because this is not the end. This is just a transition. Our next award is the Legacy Award. The inaugural award for this was last year. We gave it to the incomparable Miss Linda Taylor. And I said, there's so many other women that are living a legacy and dedicated to community. And this year, we collectively couldn't think of anybody more suited or fitted for this award than the fabulous Queen Mother herself, Vivian Phillips. Can you roll the video?
My name is Vivian Phillips. I'm a native of Seattle, and the Central District community has always been my home. I've always had a deep passion for my community and a greater passion, if you will, for the arts community. Well, first of all, being a native of Seattle, I've always resonated with the Urban League. I remember when Hurricane Katrina hit, and there were a number of people that landed in Seattle with absolutely nothing. And I got a phone call one day from someone asking if I knew where someone could go for resources. And I sent them to the Urban League, and that's where they found absolutely everything they needed. But as it relates to equity for all, I am a part of what would be considered to be a marginalized community, being of African descent. Achieving equity is really an important thing for me, and it aligns perfectly with the Urban League. What we're doing at Art Noir is really trying to create more equitable revenue opportunities for Black artists. We are absolutely aligned with the added benefit of us really being keyed into the ways in which we can reclaim our displaced community and how we can reinvest and repair. I think that service has always been one of the most important things to me. I feel like if we spend our time here on this earth and we don't serve in some capacity, what's the point? So I encourage people to see themselves as a critical piece of fabric of the community by being of service to the community. And also your service can lead to having influence in your community. As it relates to legacy, I'm really honored that this is a legacy award, and what it says to me is that the work that we're doing here at Art Noir and the work that I've been doing is not really about creating something new, but it's about building on an existing legacy. We have this opportunity to cement something that the next generation and future generations will have to look back on, just like I look back on past generations. So having an organization like the Urban League recognize the work that we've been doing, or I've been doing, but I never do anything alone, is really an honor to me. It really means to me that they see me and they know my heart. And I would prefer that people know my heart if they don't know my face. And it really is something that will be burned into my memory for a very long time to come. I'm really grateful.
Thank you. I call her Auntie Viv, and I call her every time I need something done. So I'll talk to you later about the next job. Honestly, everything that I have dreamed up and have done, Auntie Viv has been a part of. And this is just the beginning, so I'm so grateful to you. And lastly, but certainly not least, the Edwin T. Pratt Award is presented each year to a hometown hero. Sometimes we're able to give someone their flowers while they're here among us, and sometimes our heroes leave us much too soon. Miss Lottie Cross was that one that left us much too soon. If you knew Miss Lottie, she was the brain trust behind the Black Dollar Days, Clean Greens, and so much more, and she was the first person to give me my Black Business Directory. And we give this honor in the name of one of my predecessors, Edwin T. Pratt, who gave his life literally tirelessly to this community. And I am proud to honor Ms. Lottie Cross in her memory for all the work that she has done. She left us in 2020, but her daughter and her granddaughter are here to receive this award on her behalf, so I ask you to come up. They didn't know that I was going to do this. Thank you. They had no idea I was going to do this. But I felt like it was right in my heart Miss Lottie did leave us much too soon. In our Black Business Directory, you will see
What
a
makes me
donation
passionate-
to her. A memory of her. Support Black businesses in honor of her. And thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the breakfast.
What makes me passionate about the work that I do in the Urban League is be able to see people actually like uplift themselves and like seeing the progress that they make once they know that there's hope.
The work that we do at the Urban League in Metropolitan Seattle is important for the community because we represent that community. And when we change the dynamics of someone else's situation, it puts us in the position to be able to utilize and take advantage of more opportunities and also connect with people that look like me and our community.
95% of our organization identifies as Black, Brown, and or Indigenous people of color. And I think that's really important that we have those who are at the front lines also at the service so that whoever that we're serving gets the full extent of compassion and empathy when it comes to addressing the issues impacting us.
We are the voice of the community. Without us, there are many things in the community that happen that African Americans and other people of color would be extremely unaware of.
We help them through home ownership, creating a legacy. We help them with credit. We help them go over all the barriers that could possibly stop them from moving forward or going to the next level.
Early 19th century, 20th century actually, people didn't know where to go. They were coming up from the South, or they were coming up from the Southwest, or different places. And they didn't realize what was available to them because they either felt uncomfortable or they were discriminated against. And so the Urban League was established to say, hey, here we are. If you need us, come and get us. We know a guy. And if we don't know a guy, we know a guy that can turn us on to a guy.
Public health is it's health care, it's social services, it's social justice in the form of health and all of the social determinants. You get to play a role in the upstream and getting to know legislation and everything that's going on in the community.
To watch a person come from a career bridge class and be a staff person and be the best that they can be is one of the most fulfilling things that can ever happen.
In order for our community to experience change and experience a fair and healthy environment, we need to have our voices heard and represented in these areas where decision making happens.
Leadership matters. We show our staff people how to be the best that they can be. We're oftentimes leaders for young women that are coming after us, young women that will continue to carry the torch, young women that will be the best that they can be. And that makes me proud every single day. And to watch our dynamic leader lead this organization fills my heart with pride each and every day.
Family and friends, please welcome to the stage CEO of the Work and Play Lounge, Margie Haywood.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Okay, I'm like Blair. Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Got to have some energy here today. I'm already feeling so overwhelmed, and my love tank is totally full. When I hear the stories and I hear the shout-outs and the empowerment and the affirmations of each other and acknowledging each other while we're all still here on earth. And it means so much to be acknowledged now. And we all, I think, have a purpose to leave a legacy and have a purpose to make sure that we're paving the way and passing the baton to the next generation. And so that's what my heart gets full, just seeing a room full of people this early in the morning so committed to doing this year after year and in the trenches on the day-to-day. When Michelle asked me to come and share just really briefly, I thought about what the impact of Urban League has been, Urban League of Seattle, Metropolitan Seattle, has meant to me and my family. It was at a time I remember feeling a little nervous about it and feeling shy and embarrassed, but then I decided there is no point in keeping your story to yourself. It was never for yourself. And when you put yourself out of the equation, then you'll realize the bigger vision is that these stories and the traumas and the pain and the ups and the downs were never meant for just you. They were meant to impact someone else, and they were meant to pave the way and to open up other doors and opportunities for other people. So it was like with pleasure. And I remember at a time, there was two ways. Urban League Seattle, Metropolitan Seattle, when I was little, to come here for computer programming. And that was like when I was a kid, right here in the city, born and raised here in Seattle. And we would go to there and do the little typing, and it was like very intro. And then fast forward to many years later, COVID hit. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room, but here I am. I was a business owner, and that's kind of a front sometimes because people assume you're just doing well because you own a business. And they have no idea, and I always say behind the closed doors that it was God's grace, that I'm still here, and that this business is still here. Y'all don't even know. Go ahead and clap for that. Because I promise you at that time, 2 + 2 did not equal 4. And I cannot, no math in my personal journey has ever matched up, but I believe in faithful service and faithful giving, and never being restricted to what I had to limit my giving and volunteering and service to other people. And I remember just my mortgage was going, my business was completely closed. My industry, which is a co-working industry and event-based industry, was completely shut down. My family went overnight, 0 income. And I remember struggling to pay my mortgage, didn't know where things were gonna come from. And at the time I got a referral that was like, reach out to Urban League. I was like, okay. But the conflict was that I had known some people. And that is always an internal conflict for me. It's like, you know people, you don't necessarily want to reach out. You don't want everybody in your business. And y'all look laughing because you know what I'm talking about, where it's just that awkward thing like you, Margie Haywood, you got a business, and then people start judging you because you do have a business, and then all those different things. But at that moment, I ain't got no other choice in that point, but it also was a leap of faith, and it was an action step. So the very organization that I have been supporting and coming to breakfasts for many years was the organization I had to reach out to. And at that time, it was through the home site program, Miss Linda Taylor, wherever she's at. It was a program that was helpful and helped to save my mortgage and my home from going under. And I'm still able to own my home right here in Seattle. So I want to say thank you for that. And then just, as it evolved, I just want to say that the Urban League, led by Michelle's leadership, has not only, it evolved away from that. And we weren't even connected around that particular thing, and got my new locations too. And she showed up and put her money where her heart is. And y'all don't even know, when you spend like that, she was really one of my first Black customers. That is so weird and awkward to say for me at times, but my biggest supporters were not necessarily people in my own community. Michelle, you changed that. And now we have all kind of brown people coming through. And it's everyone. It's a place for everyone. But at that time, Blacks just weren't necessarily spending on my industry. But you, Urban League team, have continued to support and champion that. And I'm grateful for that. So when she said what she said about that Black Business Directory, spend diversely. Don't be exclusive to one group. Don't judge a book by its cover, but come and enjoy services from everyone. You get treated like a king and queen at my place, so come on over. Side note. So I just wanted to say that. So when we talk about giving and what the impact on the ground really means, it was the difference between home ownership and generational wealth. That's the difference between having a livelihood and an income to support my family as a small business, because in our work, if you don't work, you don't get paid, right? And your children and your stuff gets impacted. So it matters when we spend, and it also matters where we give our dollars. If you're on a mission, and we're all here today on the same mission, which is to support the organizations that are really doing the work. And there's some that put on a little bit of front, but I can tell you for a fact, this is not one of them. They're always putting their money where their heart is, and championing new dollars, fundraising tirelessly to make sure that people and our young people and children are receiving the services that they need. So that's why it matters for all of us to make sure that this card that is on your table, can we all make sure you point to that card? This card is critical to the difference of someone being homeless and the difference between someone being jobless and businessless overnight. So this card is our ask card for today. And you can scan your QR code. If you do a check, you're gonna attach it with this card filled out. You also, if you do a credit card, you can also put that here as well. We're all pretty savvy when it comes to the payments, but we have, I believe, an obligation and a duty to make sure that we're giving and investing in communities, and it creates a domino effect and make sure that the next generation is not homeless. Because if we don't continue the work, it won't be done. Our young people also need to learn and see it modeled by all of us, because we're all gonna be in a position soon where there are caregivers. So make sure that we're investing in the young people that we are expecting to lead us. And I wanna remind you that. Make sure, 'cause don't think you're exempt. There are young people that are taking care of diapers and wiping and cleaning and leading and presidenting and presidentials and all that other positions. Young people are on a roar and they are on the way, so we need to make sure that we're investing in them and making sure they have something to pass along as well. And I'm gonna leave you with this. Something that I wrote that was just on my heart to kind of capture what we're talking about. The heart's call to action. A typical morning may include skipping the most important meal of the day, but it's no accident or coincidence that we all got up for breakfast today. We did not get up just early to commute in and pay for parking, nor to be cute, say hello to friends, nor to come hang out at the West End. No, we came with a purpose, with an appetite to support this, to celebrate essential programming, entrepreneurship, advocacy, and housing. We got up this morning together to support the vision and leadership of Michelle Merriweather, to celebrate the history and the impact of Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, to put our hands to the plow and to fight the systemic battle. This is a community effort that takes time, money, and resources. And when we put our money where our heart is, there's no limit to changing economic courses. Let's take a look around. Our youth are our future. And if you gave already, we say thank you. And we challenge you to dig a little deeper. So pull out our wallets, our checkbooks, or scan that QR code, and let's shower our community and show them what giving looks like in the 206 area code. Bless you.
The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle has been instrumental in my development, personally and professionally.
Thank you to the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle for the continued support.
The Urban League has had such an impact on me in so many positive ways.
Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle has been pivotal in my journey.
I'm gonna say Urban League staff is the bomb. They seem to care about their organization. They care about the work that they're doing. They're just supportive, they're honorable. I like the whole organization.
I think there's a lot of challenges just being a small business in general. And then when you add the additional layers such as being a female-owned business or a Black-owned business, right? The barriers just compound. The lack of investment in the Black business community, then you're really thinking about, being set back further and further economically. Access to capital, access to affordable commercial space, all of those things were barriers. So if I did not have an intermediary there, I don't know if I would be here today.
My background is in the nonprofit sector. We built this space to be a communal space. So we're not the first, candle bar in Washington State. We are the first Black-owned. What makes us kind of different is we already have a communal model and setting. So when you come in, you're gonna be sitting around the table with different people. We want that to be a part of your experience when you walk into the door. Being in this space, you can walk around a certain radius and you won't see another Black business for a few blocks. We're in the shadow of the space needle. We get a lot of tourists. We get a lot of people who just want to support Black businesses, so why not be a one-stop shop?
617 was a dream that I didn't know that I had. I came to Seattle in 2018 to visit with my sister. I found out that there were not a whole lot of Black-owned natural hair exclusive salons. At the time I was living in Atlanta, there's a natural hair salon on every block. I would come back, do a pop-up, and I served 48 clients in 6 days. So we knew there was a market here. I grew up in a food desert, but I had never heard of a natural hair desert. And so I decided to open the salon. Now, I personally was not ready to move to Seattle, but that's not what happened. I think it was May of 2019. I bought a one-way ticket, and I've been here ever since.
So I feel like Seattle has shaped a lot of that because I am in a place where I have a vibrant economy, which also allows a business to be supported. And so, it takes a community for a small business to thrive. But it's on the backs of small businesses. 70% of the economy is held up by these small businesses. And so it has shaped it because I've been embracing being a smaller business with the goal of doing greater things, but also just knowing that I'm in a ripe economy, that my audience can get what they need in terms of a service from me, but also that the people that I'm talking to, the young people, my youth, the children, are in an economy in a place where they can thrive and aspire to create now.
I feel like a lot of us, we're not raised with a business sense or a business background. Our parents did not have businesses. They might be educated, they might, be very good financially. If you didn't go to business school, you don't really know how to run a business necessarily. We're a talented people. The work and the business are separate. They're not the same thing. I would say take some business courses if you can. Ask other people in business, what things that they would recommend. Find people that are either in your circle who are better than you or have gone farther than you, especially people who are great in business. The recipe cannot die with us. You cannot take all this time, do all this grinding, learn all these things that you learned the hard way because it wasn't given to you. Don't keep the secret. You've got to help the next person. If we don't do it, nobody's gonna do it.
There's a saying that we have at the Urban League, and it's once an urban leaguer, always an urban leaguer. I am the woman that I am today because of the Urban League. I think that investing in all of the programs that the Urban League has is a good investment. Your return on investment are changed lives.
Folks that have the opportunity to give, to do so, small businesses only make communities better. They provide opportunities for keeping money in the community, for creating jobs, for giving back. And so we're grateful for that opportunity to do so, but we could only do it with your help. Thank you.
The message that I have for
my community, for my leaders that are in the audience, stay committed to the vision and to the purpose, that you will show up and show out for your community, because it's not about us. It's not about our own mission. It's not about your company's mission. It is about the mission of people. And I want to say thank you for showing up at all times.
Please welcome to the stage our keynote moderator and founder of Art Noir, Vivian Phillips, followed by Head of Community of Engagement at Amazon, Taylor Hong.
Good morning, everyone. I know you've had breakfast and coffee, so you can really shout out. Good morning. We have some exciting guests coming up here. It's so nice to see so many friends, colleagues, community members, and especially since we are here to celebrate the Urban League and Michelle and all of the wonderful work they've been doing in the past year to serve our community. Like many of you, Amazon is thrilled to call the Urban League a partner, to combine our strength with that of the Urban League and work together to find creative solutions that has a lasting impact for our Puget Sound region. We look forward to building and collaborating with Michelle and the Urban League on continued affordable housing, education, and community resiliency to the benefit of our communities. Personally, I was thrilled, and I am thrilled to be here after Michelle asked me to introduce our next guest and keynote speaker. I actually tried to bribe her and to get me some alone time. When that didn't work, I thought maybe I could, I don't know, try to blackmail her, but she was too perfect. I couldn't find anything on her. Yes. But our next guest does not really need an introduction. But I would be remiss if I didn't do so, as he has accomplished so much. He is one of the most sought after, successful, and admired comedians in the world. As the host of The Daily Show, he landed 7 Emmy Award nominations. He is an accomplished, yes, please. He is an accomplished author and writer. His book, Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood, was a #1 New York bestseller and sold over 3 million copies. He is an executive producer and host of several upcoming series in a partnership with Amazon Prime Video. That's a nice plug. And finally, he is a philanthropist. He founded his own foundation in 2018, which works to improve equitable access to quality education for underserved youth in South Africa. But I think what endears us all to him, and especially for me, is his humility and his talent for using comedy to bring honest observations, conversations, and attention to societal things that afflicts us, but we may not recognize. Through his comedy, he challenges us to think a little bigger, see a bit wider, and go beyond what we know and are comfortable with. To borrow a quote, one of my favorite quotes from his book, Born a Crime, as the outsider, you can retreat into a shell, be anonymous, be invincible, or you can go the other way. You protect yourself by opening up. You don't ask to be accepted for everything you are, just the one part of yourself that you're willing to share. Friends, please give a warm Seattle welcome to Trevor Noah.
Trevor, Good morning.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you? Good morning, everyone.
Good, good. I know that people didn't think they were going to get me. They came for you, but you're not here to do a comedy routine. You're here to talk about serious stuff.
I am indeed here to have a conversation. I don't even know if it's serious stuff per se. I just think it is.
Interesting.
It is what it is. Yes, important.
Important stuff. So The Daily Show is in your rearview mirror. It's like way back there now. How's life?
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. I've been traveling the world a lot more. I'm doing shows, in countries and on continents that I haven't been to for a long time. I miss working with the team that I used to work with, but I still work with them on other projects. So it's just been a different pace of life. It's been a different world. I don't watch the news every day now, and all my friends tell me I look happier and healthier.
Yeah, I bet.
So that's.
Well, I wonder what you're going to do during the presidential election, but I'm sure you'll figure out
It'll
something.
be interesting. It depends on how it pans out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still waiting to see how the primaries turn, and then I think that'll define where America starts to go.
So I think it was about a year ago, might have been December 9th, 2022, exactly, when you gave this impassioned just commentary on the importance of Black women in the U.S., in the world as leaders. For those of us who were watching, because I definitely watched, I still have it, in my TiVo. I guess that's the thing. I don't know. I guess I could just stream it. I don't know how these things go, but it's in there somewhere. But for those of us watching, it felt like this incredibly organic just thing that came to you that you needed to share with the world. Had you been thinking about that before, or was it something that you just felt really passionate about at the moment?
No, I hadn't thought about it at all, to be honest. It was just it was a moment where I was saying goodbye, and thoughts were flooding through my head. And I guess that was a thought that I inherently always had and yet didn't realize. Maybe I'd never verbalized it. I think oftentimes when we have conversations in and around politics or societal change, we try and make it seem like these issues are unattainable. We make it seem like the structure is unmalleable. When in fact, really, if you truly have the intention to fix any system, what you need to do is ask the people who are most affected by the negative aspects of that system what has affected them the most.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you'll find yourself in a space where you already have a jumping off point to get you to your solution. And there's no denying that all over the world, Black women have time and time again suffered the brunt of every ill-intentioned policy.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side of it, Black women are also the ultimate propellants for getting societies out of that spot.
Right, for fixing things.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you see this in Africa, for instance. There's all these programs that have tried to promote philanthropy, or they've tried to either give people money or tell them what to do with the money, etc. One of the most successful programs literally just takes money and just gives it to people. Instead of dictating what they do with it, they just believe that the people who need money don't lack agency, they just lack funding, which is often true. And
Absolutely.
all they do is they give them the money. And one of the most fascinating pieces of research that came out of it was there is no dollar that goes further than a dollar given to a Black woman. There's none, bar none. Literally, it filters down. It moves through communities. It rotates for longer. It impacts so many more people. And so I think that's just one of the smaller learnings where you realize how impactful Black women have been. And I think it is both a fortunate thing to have, but an unfortunate side effect of how long Black women have been oppressed for.
Well, you had role models, obviously your mother and your grandmother. And the very first book that I ever read about South Africa was Mark Mathabani's Kafir Boy. And his book was really about the resiliency of his mom as well. So talk a little bit more about the character and personality of Patricia.
Well, my mom is, she's an anomalous byproduct of a world that didn't want her to exist. You know, my mother grew up in apartheid South Africa, and she grew up in what they called at those times the Bantustans, you know, where black people were segregated to and then confined within. Her education was limited, her resources and her upward mobility was limited, but through a combination of luck and perseverance, she continued to learn and grow. And so you have this girl who grew into this woman who became a mother, who has just taught herself everything about life. You know, she's just tried her utmost to learn. And obviously she learns from others, but she has a yearning to learn. And and she still has that. She still has that. And so she tries to learn everything. I even said to her the other day, I sent her a message and I said, I'm really proud to have you as a mom because of how much of a yearning you have for growth. Like she'll ask me questions so innocently. You know, she'll be like, explain this AI thing. What does this mean? What is happening? What is going on? What is, you know? And she won't even form an opinion on it. You know, one day we were speaking about something and she said, I need to go think about this. Let me just go think about it. And she said, I'll come back to you and I need to just sit with this for a little bit in my spirit and try and understand what's happening here. And then we'd have a conversation, you know? And I think what's amazing about her is that she is one example. She's one example of a black woman who was told no in so many different ways, you know, by so many different parts of society, and has galvanized her spirit because of that. You know, she experienced it with her mother. She experienced with her mother's mother and her sisters and it's really interesting to see what it has done to her. You know, it's created somebody who is, you know, who's really become a diamond because of all the pressure that they've been under.
Well, you talk about her learning and her constant desire to learn. What are some of the things, if Patricia were here today, do you think she would say she might have learned from you?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I do think I've inspired my mother to ask for clarity in a question. You know, one of the things I said to my mom when I was no longer afraid of a whipping that would come is I said,
and that was last week.
You're not too far off, actually. You're not too far off. I said to her one day, I said, Mom, can I be honest with you? I said, I don't think you are a very good teacher. And she said, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Who taught you everything you know? And I said, no. I said, I don't think you're a very good teacher. I think you're a fantastic role model. And you're an amazing tutor. But you're not a great teacher. And then what she always does, she pauses and she goes, explain. And then I explained to her, I said, I think the difference between being a good teacher and being a good role model is a teacher knows how to explain information to you in a way that you will both understand and be able to process for yourself, while a role model is somebody who acts out that information in a way that you can process for yourself. Both are equally important, but one, I feel, has more of an immediate impact because it is easier to implement in a shorter amount of time, and that is teaching. You know, if I sit with you in a room and I teach you about something or I teach you how to do something, you should have understood or learned it within that period of time. If I'm going to be a role model to you, you have to watch me my whole life or watch me for years to then mimic that or to understand it and adopt it as your own. And once I told her that, she went, oh, and then she said, okay, babe. And literally now she says, I'm learning to be a teacher, baby. I'm learning to be a better teacher.
Sweet.
That's what she says all the time.
I mean, black mothers don't have time to teach. It's like, watch
Yeah,
me
you're
do
not
what
wrong.
I said
You're
do,
not wrong.
and let's keep it pushing, right?
You're not wrong. My mom used to, when I was growing up, my mom had no time for questions. No time. She'd be like, do that, pick that up. Then I'd be like, why are we doing that? Then she'd be like, hey, Wena, pick that up and do that thing. You'll see why when it's done.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when mail comes to your address, then you can do something different, right? You know, you talk about your mom living in apartheid, but apartheid didn't end until 1994.
So apartheid ended in 1990.
1990?
And then, but we only got democracy in 1994. Yeah.
But you were born in 1984, correct?
Yes.
So you lived in apartheid for the first
6 years of my life.
Yeah, formative years of your life. So, you know, it's obvious that you were someone who has overcome adversity in many ways, but talk a little bit about your childhood living in this environment of apartheid.
Well, I always say that I was lucky. I truly believe that I am one of the luckiest people alive because timing was everything. Yes, I grew up for the first 6 years of my life in apartheid. But those are the 6 years where I didn't need to yet be in a school. I didn't yet need to be out in the world getting a job. I didn't yet need to be in environments where my identity would be either defined or affected by the color of my skin. And so those years are the years where my family was everything. My family was the foundation of what I was experiencing. And I was really, really lucky, truly, truly lucky to be living in such a horrible time and yet not experience the most adverse effects. My mother did, through and through.
Yeah.
My mother got arrested multiple times for being with my father, who's a white man from Switzerland. She got arrested multiple times. She couldn't be with me in public openly, so she would act like she was my housekeeper, or what they call in South Africa, domestic worker. So she would dress up in, a nanny's outfit, and she would push me around in a stroller and act like she wasn't my mom.
Yeah.
And then, because the structures of apartheid were so rigid, everyone believed that it was what they saw it as.
Did people know that you were mixed race? Because there's blanc, knee blanc, and colored.
Yeah.
Did people think you were colored?
No, so you see one of the most one of the most ludicrous aspects of racism is that because it does not make sense, none of its natural conclusions are going to make sense.
Right.
Right? So you're inventing a rule based on nothing, so that nothing is going to constantly, it's like, I remember in school, my math teacher used to say, if you start off the equation wrong, you're going to get to the wrong answer every single time. If you don't understand the fundamental concept of where you're putting which number in which bracket, you're going to get to the wrong place every single time. And that's what apartheid was. They designed a system where they said, we are going to define people not just by their ethnicity, but literally the granularity of what we think they are. So you're not just black. No, you are Zulu, you are Tswana, you are Tsonga, you are Bedi, we'll separate you based on that. And then you're not just black or white. They said, no, we're going to dilute it even further. So you're not black, and if you might have been mixed, we'll say that you're colored, and maybe you're Indian, and so on and so forth. And that granularity only leads to chaos, tragic and comedic, to be honest. So my grandmother would tell me stories of how when we were growing up in Soweto and I would be running around in the streets, children would run away from me because they thought I was a white man. And I'm a child by this time, but they had no concept of what this, my
And
grandma
you had power you didn't even know you had.
Can you imagine? I could have been out here applying for credit. I had no clue.
All kind of stuff,
I had
right?
no clue.
Getting loans.
No clue. And kids would run away. That's all they would do. They would run away.
Just follow them to their house.
Yeah, but that's how crazy that world was. So people didn't even know. And I think my mom knew this. One thing my mom has always possessed, and I think I inherited it from her, is she has an innate ability to mock the ridiculousness of any situation or system. And apartheid was no different. So my mom did things. When I was a kid, I was like a really, really, really fat kid, and I loved food, and my mom loved that about me, and so did my gran and everyone. But because of that, I was an androgynous child. You couldn't really tell what I was. And so my mom would dress me, and she'd put me in pink dresses, until I was maybe 4 years old. My mom would put me in girls' clothes. She always wanted a little girl, and she's like, well, I've got a little girl. I don't care. And she says, people would say, your girl is so beautiful. What a beautiful little girl you have. Until this day, she says I'm the only daughter she ever had. It's me and my 3 brothers, and she goes, you're the daughter. You're the only daughter of. You go to the hair salon, and you go and yeah. And so she says that she'll ask me for hair tips. She'll be like, oh honey, what do you think I do with the which comb are you using now for your afro? I need. What are you doing with your hair? But in all of that, I think she taught me how many of these parameters are not real. And are falsely defined. They affect us in a very real way, but they themselves are not real. You know, and as I grew up, I started to think of it like the road, like the lines on the streets, you know, on road markings. They're not actually real. You know, but it's amazing how over time we truly believe, and for good reason in this case, but we truly believe that those markings exist and your car cannot go. It's like that's where the car goes, but it's not. It isn't actually.
Do you think that that's where your sense for comedy began?
Oh,
kind of
definitely.
With your mom, and in addition to that, like, how did you logically explain to your mother that you were going to be a comedian?
So, for the first part of the question, I definitely got my comedy from my mother. I do not know a single black woman on this planet who isn't the funniest person I know. Genuinely. And again,
but we're not getting paid. You're getting all the cash.
So this is the thing. I often say to people, I'm not the funniest person in my family. I'm not the funniest person in my group of friends. There's a difference between being funny and being a professional comedian, you know? And the difference is that in comedy, when you're a professional comedian, you are developing or honing or are able to make people who don't know you laugh as if they do know you, right? Whereas when you're funny, you find your friends think you're hilarious because you understand the context of that friendship. But once you go to strangers, they might not know you. They might think you're mean. They might think you're sarcastic. Whatever they think you are is different. So I think that's maybe the key difference I found. But I was always encouraged to explore from a young age. You know, my mother said to me very early on, she said, "Listen, honey, I don't ever want you to feel pressured to be something or to do something that you don't want to." So she said, work, earn money, find a purpose, but don't go somewhere just because you think you have to go somewhere. And that freed, I was an anomaly. I was one of the only kids I knew of in my group of friends where my parent wasn't saying, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer, no. My mother said, be you, find you, explore you. Now, when I became a comedian, she thought I was a drug dealer. Because she didn't understand anything that was happening. Remember, because we also didn't have comedy in South Africa. I mean, you know, we only got free speech in 1994. So this was a new forum altogether. And one day, my mom saw me pulling up, and now I had a new car. But I'm pulling up during the day. And I would just pop up and I'd be hanging around, and my mom would say to me after, she'd be like, where are you going now? And it's like 4 p.m. or 2 p.m. and she'd be like, wait, are you going back to the office? I'd be like, I don't have an office. I'm not going to an office. And then she'd be like, where do you work? And then I said, well, it depends. Different nights, different places.
Oh, see, you played it up. You played
but it's
all
true.
of that
I was
up.
trying to explain it to her.
Yeah.
And then one day she sat me down and she said to me, listen, honey, she said, you know, although it might pay you now, a life of crime is only going to end in one way.
And then you write a book called Born a Crime. I mean, you're just consistently torturing your mom. I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship because one of the things I think that you do, and this is connected, you did very well with The Daily Show, is really inform your audiences about the global experience, particularly Africa. But in Africa, entrepreneurism is something different than it is here in the U.S., correct?
In what way? What do you mean by
So,
that?
for instance, in South Africa, you know that place, there's constant commerce happening on the streets. That is the way in which many people care for themselves. There are craft markets. There are all the things that we find somewhat unique. Actually, Yeoville is an interesting example of commerce. So talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and how it might be different here than it is in Africa, as you know it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's different. I think in this part of the world, it is just monetized differently, and the structure is very different. I don't know of a single place in the world where there are black people who exist, and I think it extends to other cultures as well, where the women are not entrepreneurs. You know, I think we've made it seem like that title is some sort of lofty goal that only a few can aspire to and or reach. When the truth is, genuinely, look at black women and tell me that they haven't invented everything that Silicon Valley now has as its own, right? Airbnb. Black women have been Airbnb-ing since the you tell me which black woman and which black community didn't have people who were sharing their houses, renting out a room, having somebody pay a little bit of money to them because they couldn't afford their own place. Think about how many church groups used to do that. You would travel with your church, you would go to another community, you didn't have anywhere to stay there. Half of the time you couldn't because of restrictions, in America where it was, the racist policies. In South Africa it was the same. And what would people do? You would find another church community and you would go live with them. And what would you do? You would give the little that you had to pay for the room. You would help them buy a little bit of food. What was that? We've been doing that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like black people have had, I grew up with Uber. That's what we did. Right? That's what we did. The first person to get a car in their community was often the Uber of that community. So people would say to you, yo, let me get a ride. I'll pay you for gas. Let me get a ride to this place. Yeah. I remember mothers would say, that was a responsibility and obligation that we accepted, funny enough. It's like if you had a car, another person's mother would say to you, hey, listen, on Saturday, I would like to hire you. I need to go and buy food from our version of Costco because I need to buy in bulk and save money. We will all put money together. We will pay you to take us to Costco. We'll load up your car with food and we'll come back and then we'll pay you for that. This is something that has existed. How is that not entrepreneurship? Right. How is it not something that has been going since the beginning of time? So I think there's this misconception, funny enough, that entrepreneurship is this fancy little space that has only existed for a few who understand it, when really all it is access to a market and a way to expand an idea beyond just what you're doing within your community.
That's really good. Really, really good. Thank you. And helpful, I think, for those of us who go to places seeking support for our entrepreneurial ventures, right? So talk a little bit about the significance of leadership and equity in your world.
Well, I mean, I've always been intrigued by certain phrases or sayings that we have that try and encourage us to live life in a certain way. And I wrote about this in the book, but one of my favorite was always that give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he will eat forever. And I was just to be like, but in the world we live in, we never talk about giving that same person the fishing rod. We always act like there's no gap in between. We act like it's just knowledge, and then all of a sudden you can do it. And I see all of these programs, all over the world, in America, Silicon Valley, you name it. And, these big companies and entrepreneurs and business, et cetera, and they go, hey, we're going to give you the knowledge. We're going to bring you in and show you how, which is fantastic. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But then they forget how important the rod is. They forget how important the tool is. And you see how important the tool is when you look at anybody's success story. Anybody's success story. Everybody's success story is beautiful and it's quaint. It'll be like, Mark Zuckerberg, he quit school. And with a small loan of many thousands of dollars from his family. Then you're like, wait, I'm sorry, with many what? It'll be like, Jeff Bezos out of his garage, he started Amazon. And with only $80,000 that was given to him as an interest-free loan.
Amazon
like,
is
whoa.
one of our spots.
No, but it's true.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. There's nothing wrong. It's true. And what I mean by it is you cannot show me a story of any of these people who have been extremely successful that don't have two components. One, a loan or some sort of some sort of lift that was oftentimes interest-free. That's one of the key things for me, is how many of these startup founders will tell you that I didn't have anything. My father-in-law gave me a loan of $50,000 and I just had to, a loan of $50,000 interest-free. Interest-free, where your father-in-law didn't come back later and say they now own 50% of the company, the father-in-law didn't come back and no, interest-free. Imagine that power. Imagine that ability. And so that equity is one of the most important things for me because it's an equation that is far simpler than people will have you believe. And you see it with the success of Scandinavian countries, right? Sweden is one of, if not one of the top performers in terms of unicorn companies per capita, right? They outperform many, many other places in the world. And not in sheer number, because I think the US is the highest, but in per capita, Sweden is up there, maybe at the top. And one of the main things the Swedish government does is they make it extremely easy for Swedish citizens to get a loan to start a business that has sound fundamental principles. They go, that's a great idea. Go and try it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you fail, they're like, well, that's what happens sometimes.
That's right.
Go and try it again. Go and try it again. Go and try it again. And then you go, is it any coincidence then that Sweden is the country where you have Spotify and you have Klarna and you have you name these behemoths in tech, they come out of this place. Why? Because when people are creative and when people are given the opportunity to work within a creative space, they will do amazing things. They will do amazing things, you know, and I think that's why equity is so important.
That's like redistribution of wealth in some ways.
In many, and it's the creation of wealth. I think the thing that happens oftentimes is, you know, I remember a friend once asked me, he said to me, he said, hey, what do you think white privilege is? And I said, without being inflammatory or anything, I said, can I tell you, I said, what I think one of the real aspects of white privilege is the fact that you are able to fail for you and only you. I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of white privilege, is that your success or failure is just your success or failure.
That's good.
You know?
That's really good.
Whereas if you are a black woman, a black person, a woman in business, a person of color, you become a black CEO of a Fortune 500 company. If you fail in that position, black women have failed in that position.
Right, not just an individual.
Not just you.
Right.
Not just you. You know what I mean? People will say, well, I mean, we tried. There are countless white men who will fail in those positions, but people won't say white men can't do it. They'll be like, oh, he was a terrible CEO. He didn't do well. That didn't go well. That didn't.
Right.
But they'll be like, oh, but that's why, I guess that's why women shouldn't be. Why? Well, because one is enough. And I think that's one of the key things. And then the other side of it, you know, in leadership, to your question, the reason leadership is so important is because whether we like to think of it or not, leadership is the shadow that casts itself over the entire organization. Whether we like it or not. We can talk about ideals, we can talk about ideas, but leadership is what casts itself over an organization. And it goes back to the role model versus the teaching. You know, a lot of companies will want to teach about diversity and inclusion, it's fantastic, but they're not the role model in that, right?
That's true.
And what that does is it changes, it's just like a household. Whoever's the head of the household, that household is going to shape themselves around that person, whether they teach it or not. And I think that's why it's so important to elevate people into positions of leadership, because even if they're not saying anything, there are elements of their essence that are fundamentally going into the business and shaping it in some way, shape, or form.
Gotcha.
And so, you know,
Trevor, you're going to get me in trouble.
Why?
Because there's a whole cadre of people over there that's going to shoot me if we don't stop.
If we don't stop what?
Talking.
Talking? Okay, fine.
Doing your drug deals. I really hate to do this, but I promise you I will not be able to walk free in this city if I do not say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next time we'll make more time.
And make more time next time.
We'll make more time.
And I know that you'll be back here in Seattle. I'll be there when you
I will.
come
I will. I'll be
March
back here again.
24th
Let's
for
make
the
more
comedy
time.
Show.
All right.
I would like to introduce again Michelle Merriweather.
Thank you so much.
Something for you.
Thank you so much.
Y'all want to stay and talk a little longer?
Your mic's off now, right? Sound.
Yo, I still got time. I don't.
Yes.
No.
Well, it's
thank
done.
you for the gift.
The people have spoken. Sit down.
Thank you so much. We'll take time. Ray, what's the time right now? No, we good, right?
It's 9:30.
No, we got time.
All
If you
right,
got time,
Sam.
I've got time. If you've got time, I've got time. I thought you were kicking him out because you didn't have time.
No.
No, if you
Are you kidding?
No,
I
if you
have
don't
all the time
when
in
you
the
run out
world
of
to
time,
talk
I'll
with
go.
you.
When you run out of time, I'll go.
Oh, I don't know. I think people have to go to their actual jobs. They're not drug dealers. Finish your thought about leadership and how leadership is shaped around individuals and how important that is.
So, okay, I'll give you a simple example, an anecdote from my own life. When I took over hosting The Daily Show, one of the biggest shifts we noticed over time, and this was beautiful to see in the building, was when I first got to The Daily Show, the staff was predominantly focused on American news, American politics, American information. And they were doing an amazing job at it, by the way, okay? They were doing a fantastic job. This wasn't me just like forcing people. It was just me expressing interest, having conversations, connecting with people. I'll never forget the day when one of my staff came in, one of my writers came in, and this is a white writer who had been working within this environment for a long time, had his views, had his vibes, fantastic person. And I'll never forget, he walked in and he said to me, "Hey man, have you seen what's happening in this part of Southern Africa? Well, I feel like we have to say something about this." And I'll never forget, I stopped and I looked at him and I was like, "Look at you." Because no, but honestly, I hadn't caught that story yet. I hadn't thought about any, but it was so beautiful to see how I had affected his world just by being me, just by us hanging out as people and me saying, "Man, this story, that story, why aren't we talking about that? What's happening there? What's going on there?" It wasn't a forced relationship, and it wasn't a forced idea. And I think that's oftentimes the mistake we make in leadership is we think that leadership is only about the actions. We forget that leadership is also about the person who is committing those actions, right? And so we have to be cognizant of that, because that will shape an organization. It will shape the feeling of the place. And I think that's why we have to be careful in thinking about how we actively elevate people into positions of leadership if we actually want to see these organizations become not just more diverse, but more holistic in their thinking.
So as a comedian, I mean, you put yourself out there as a leader, right? You take some hard knocks. You are subject to criticism. What are the ways in which you continue to bounce back? And I also know that at The Daily Show, the audiences weren't too hot on you when you arrived.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So for the first part, the honest truth is this. I understand that my job comes with an inherent amount of risk and criticism. And I think that should be the same for any business. Understand this. If you're making a product, there is a part of your product that may have some sort of downside or risk. So if you manufacture cars, those cars are going to end up in accidents in some way, shape, or form. Your responsibility, I believe, is to try and minimize the chances or the frequency of those accidents, and then also figure out what would happen if the people are in an accident in that car. Can you make sure that they're as safe as possible? I try to do the same thing with my comedy. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to tell jokes. The world is becoming more interconnected than ever, but more, even though we're connected, we're losing so much nuance and so much understanding in that connectivity that people are going to lose things in translation all the time. I often laugh about this whenever you're on Black Twitter, and then like someone will say something and they'll just say, "Hey, just for us Black folk, let's," and then people will make the joke, and then you'll see that joke slip out, and then like some white person will be like, "How can you say that?" And you're like, "Yeah, I get why you are offended, but if you had kept this within the confines of the way it was, you are missing the language, you're missing what was actually being said, you're missing it, and I understand why you feel that way." So I've said to my team and myself and everyone, I go, if I live a life where I look back and the only things that I've been in trouble for is jokes that some people maybe didn't like or did like, I'm fine. I've lived a good life. If those are my scandals, I've lived a good life.
But they will cancel you in a hot minute if you put something out there. That doesn't matter to you, right?
What does cancellation even mean?
Yeah, right.
No, what I mean by this is we've lived, guys, cancellation is as old as time, people. We make it seem like it's this newfound concept. Oh, this generation loves to cancel. Every generation has canceled. There's no such thing as a non-canceling generation. You go back and you read through history, you know, whether it was in ancient Rome or in Africa or in Asia, there are stories of societies that would punish people for doing something that was deemed unacceptable to that society. And one of the forms of punishment was some sort of ostracization. It was banishment. Banishment is as old as we've existed. You would be banished from your village. That is cancellation. You have been banished. Leave this kingdom, leave this family, leave this church. These are all banishments, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember like TV, people used to get canceled, you know? You remember this? Something would come on TV, people would write a letter, and they would write a letter to the broadcaster, and they would go, we did not appreciate that happening. And then the broadcaster would change it, take it down, move it. That's cancellation is as old as time. We've just put a new label on it, and we've made it seem like it's this newfangled idea. It's not.
I don't think everybody knows that. I mean, you know,
No,
people
I agree,
who are
but
getting canceled, they are having feelings about it, right?
Yes,
They're not like,
because
ah.
no, because I think there are three parts that we're not considering. So one is you are going to feel that way regardless of who is criticizing you, right? If you are in a friend group and they criticize you, you will feel canceled. You know, if you are in a community, in a business, and you're criticized, ostracized, you are going to feel canceled. Yeah. This is a human emotion that people have, and it's an emotion that is worth acknowledging and thinking about when we quote unquote cancel people. Yeah. You know, but people also have to understand that there's a difference between criticism and repercussion, and those two things are huge. Like, people can criticize you all the time, and that's life. We also live in a world where it's just strangers. They don't even know you. They do know you. They'll criticize you. Okay. But repercussion is very different. Most of the time when we talk about cancellation, there have not been any repercussions. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, that person got canceled. And then what happened? Oh, they carried on with their lives.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There are really, really few instances of people who actually lost their job or like suffered. There are few. And some of those are because they did something criminal, which is different, you know, or they did something that was against the ethics or the morals of the organization that they were a part of. But I think that's the biggest thing to remember is this. You cannot be canceled by the public or by strangers. The only person who can really cancel you is the person who writes your checks. That's the truth.
Well, that's a good
That is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, the perfect example of this, go look at the NFL. There are players in the NFL who've been canceled for many different things, as broad as you can name. But as long as the NFL signs their checks, they carry on playing.
They're doing well.
And so so when I think of that for myself, I understand the difference between those two, and you just have to keep going.
So Trevor, I know you have a foundation in South Africa, and do you feel a particular responsibility to your home, and if so, what is it?
I don't see it as a responsibility. I see it as a beautiful opportunity. You know, it is a selfish opportunity. I wish we had more selfish altruism in the world. You know, I wish we could teach people to connect their incentives with helping others a lot more than we do in this day and age, because we don't realize that there is a way for people to live in, you know, symbiotic relationships. There is a way for people to get what they want whilst giving other people what they need. You know, you look at like homelessness as a conversation. I'm always intrigued by how we have these conversations about homelessness. People, the homeless situation in Seattle is great. Oh, the homeless situation in San Francisco. Oh, the homeless situation. What are we going to do about the homeless? And people will spend so much time and energy talking about what they do about the homeless, and they spend almost no time talking about what they do to the things that make people homeless. Like, where's that same level of vitriol? Where's that same level of, you know, it would be the equivalent of trashing people who've died in a plane crash, you know, and you're like, oh, these people, there's dead bodies everywhere. Look at them. How they're just gonna die in a field, these terrible people. And you're like, well, maybe we shouldn't let the plane crash. That's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not the point. They probably wanted to be in a plane crash. That's why they were in a plane. Wow. Nobody wants to be homeless. That's what people don't get. People make it seem like people actually want, like they set out to leave their homes and be homeless. It is a terrible thing that is afflicted upon any human being. Nobody wants to be homeless. Nobody should want to see somebody who is homeless. This is a human. And so I believe, and that's why I started my foundation. I was like, I want to see South Africa better. I want to see South Africa doing well. You know why? Because I love South Africa. I love being in South Africa. I like living in South Africa. I like South Africa being my home. I wish to raise children one day in South Africa. These are things that I'm doing selfishly for me. I want the country to do well. And in order for it to do well, we need to fix it in many different ways. And so I think the same thing goes to any issue is, all right, if you really, really, really hate homelessness, then why not go after the cause of homelessness?
Absolutely.
Just go after it.
Absolutely. So we have now come to the end of the time for real.
You see, that's better. Now we're there.
But I have one final question,
Yes.
and you may have just answered it, I don't know. But what does philanthropy mean to you?
So I'm very careful to overstate the importance of philanthropy because I do believe philanthropy is well-intentioned, but oftentimes a drop in the buckets. You know, we should really be careful of that. I will never lie and make it seem like my foundation is this magical one that's going to change it. No, what I actually think of my foundation as is an incubator and a, you know, an experimental platform to try and develop ideas that then we can propose to the government in South Africa. Make no mistake, there is nothing that changes people's lives more than a government. This false idea that we've been given that governments don't do anything, and people will be like, oh, get the government out of your lives, get the government out of your lives. It's like, no, it's quite the opposite. There is no program that is private that'll build roads the way governments have built roads. There's no private program that'll build bridges the way they're, schools the way that they have, hospitals the way, no. That is a trick that has been played on people time and time again. It is not true. You want a functioning government, but trust me now, there is nothing. It has more money than all philanthropies combined. Doesn't matter how many billions you have, that is a drop in the bucket. Philanthropy, in my opinion, should be something that is well-intentioned, but tries to make an outsized impact with the resources that it has. And then I think in using that, you can then look at other role players, and I would hope that it would be the government who would step in and say, wow, you used that little money and that little amount of people to make that amount of impact. Now imagine if we replicated that on this scale, we'd be able to do the same thing. And so I don't think we should live in a world where we think of philanthropy as the cure.
Yeah.
It's more an experimental drug that you can then roll out on a wide scale.
Back on those drugs. Everyone, thank you. Thank you
for the
so
time,
much.
Thank you
Trevor
so much.
Noah.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
Thank you. I'll see you in a month.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Be good to yourselves and to each other.
Thank you for attending the Urban League's annual breakfast. Thank you for attending the Urban League's 22nd annual breakfast. Please feel free to take home the flower arrangements and remember to drop your name tags in the buckets outside of the main doors. Have a wonderful day.
Chili pepper, you rubber girl tougher than imperial leather. He was getting bitter while she was getting better. Diamonds are forever. Miss Sierra Leone looking like a gem. Works hard in the week, party on the weekend. Know you wanna live when no one watching how you spend. Got a thing for the finer things and the finer men. Miss Tanzania, she a do or die. Says she wanna know more about the Sukuma tribe. We hit the zoo, once wasn't enough. Got an ocean full of knowledge, you could scuba dive. Miss Ethiopia can play so jazzy. They sit you down to school, you want Selassie. Tell them you're nothing without a woman, no. Woman to woman, I just wanna see you glow. Tell them what's up. How you go from 0 to 100 and leave the dust behind. You got this, all action, no talk. Bayesian honeys, know you repping for your country. Sun kissing your brown skin, looking like money. Says she focusing on being an accountant. When you have beauty and brains, they find it astounding. Why? She been getting it on her own, nigga. Self-made, ain't nobody doing gold digger. Now, missing the that always speaks with her chest. Got respect from her people cause she leads them the best. Real life queen in the flesh. Know the crown get heavy, still the bees on your head. Brooklyn ladies, know you hustle on the daily. Innovative just like Donna Summer in the 80s. Your time is seeing you glow now. Intelligence and elegance, show 'em how. Miss Jamaica understand food for the soul. She get up in the kitchen or she throw down. Ain't nothing without a woman, no. Woman to woman, I just wanna see you glow. Tell 'em what's up. So ahead of time, and you know that you fight, you're so damn fine, girl. She a gonna girl, calm with it, never let the marijuana fail. Though a sucker for the romance, take you to the homeland. One way, she ain't coming back, no. All I see is black stars, and I friggin' love it, yeah, yeah. Time's up, tell the people that we coming, yeah, yeah. Dundee, and in the shadow, go in public, yeah, yeah. Don't know how to bear it, how to stomach, yeah, yeah. Hand over the shit and let us run it, yeah, yeah. All we know is looking clueless, all they know is stairs, yeah. Ain't nothing without a woman, no. Woman to woman, I just wanna see you glow.